What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Art Shack. So this is going to be my Q&A video. Now I want to start off right away by apologizing to anyone that I don't get to your questions. There were quite a few, and a lot of them were very similar in topic, so I grouped a lot of the questions together. It's going to make things a lot easier. But for those of you that I'm not exactly going to be answering the questions for, don't worry, I'll be doing quite a few more Q&As. I think this will go over pretty well, so there's always another chance. So I wanted to kind of keep these questions grouped together, like I said. There were a lot of very similar questions, and I think that this video is going to be more focused on my beginning roots of drawing, as well as just everything in general. So here's what I did. I got a lot of the questions, I printed them out, cut them out, and I sorted them. And I actually glued them down to another piece of paper. And I think this will go over pretty well. So let me prop these up. That way I can actually read them. And a lot of the comments are really good. I was really surprised by some of these questions. So first question by this kid 28. I'm probably going to also put the comments up beneath the video as well, or you know, on the bottom of the video, that way you can read along with me. And it says, Tyler, what do you like to do besides art videos? And I had to think about this one. It's like, man, what do I like doing besides art videos? Because in the last few months I haven't done anything really besides make art videos and go to school. So, but one thing I do like to do is actually going to school. That's something that I've enjoyed quite a bit ever since I got out of high school, and also in high school I also enjoyed it a lot as well. But I guess I'll start off with what I did like about school. During my last year of high school, I was really fond of woodworking. That was probably my favorite thing to do, and if I had the money, I would keep doing it today. But it's pretty costly to get all the machinery. But my favorite thing to do in there was wood turning. So I would make a lot of bowls and things like that. And I'll put up a couple pictures to show you just how detailed I made some of these. It was just amazing. It was so much fun. Some of the bowls I did had 400 to 500 pieces in it easily. So it was just a great, something great to do. And the the woodshop teacher, he was very cool. He always let me use a lot of the more expensive, rare woods, exotic colors, things like that. It was so much fun. And him and I, we kind of bounced ideas off each other. We were really inspired by one another, and we built a lot of bowls together. So if he had an idea, I would build a bowl very similar, but with some different designs in it, and we'd be just sitting there turning the bowls together before and after class. It was a lot of fun. So I spent most of my days, most of my time in high school in the wood shop, because in senior year I had 3 or 2 free study periods, which basically means that you don't even have to be in school for that amount of time. Which I remember period 1, or no, I think period 1 I may have had wood shop, or it was 1 and 2 that I had off, and period 3 I had wood shop. Either way, on a certain day I'd be able to spend 3 hours in the morning in the wood shop. I spent my lunch there, and sometimes after school a little bit I'd be in there as well. So it really made for a good amount of time to be in there. But other than that, as like what I do currently, it kind of depends on the seasons. So more towards the summer, I'm a big fan of going to the beach, as probably a lot of you know. So I'll go bodyboarding out in the ocean, especially if hurricane season's about, and you'll get those big storms that travel up the coast, but hopefully not hit the coast like we had last summer. But when they come up, they'll make some pretty large surf, sometimes in excess of 8 to 12 foot, but that's on a very rare day. And those are some pretty big waves, and there's not a whole lot that can stop me from going out there and challenging that. It's just so much fun. I really enjoy it. But don't worry, I'm always very careful when I go out, and I'm always making very smart decisions and things like that. I rarely do stupid things while I'm out there. So, but as careful as you are, there's always accidents that happen, so I just try my best just to avoid all of that. But my other thing I like to do at the beach is The beach that I go to, it's in New Jersey, and it's very, very secluded. There's an area where you can go to that's a bathing beach, and there's a lot. It's just absolute cluster of people. But if you walk north or south, about a half mile in each way, there'll be no one around except for fishermen. So it makes for a very, very quiet walk. So I first started by doing that. I used to really like to go for those walks it's just nice, quiet, and hear the ocean in the background, things like that. But I started to notice in the sand, there are these glimmering pieces of something. I didn't know what they were. But as the years went on, I started noticing more and more, and then eventually I started collecting them. So I'll show you some right here. This is sea glass. This is what I'll collect from the beaches. It's literally pieces of glass that have been tumbled in the ocean, and they become very, very smooth. So I've really gotten into this. It's just something to do while I walk. But also, I have a couple books on sea glass, and you can actually date quite a bit of this way back, especially if you have a piece like a bottleneck or anything with writing on it. I have one piece that actually says Clorox on it, and when was the last time Clorox was made in glass? You know, it's all plastic now. So it's just something that I enjoy to do. And some of the pieces that I have, I've been able to date back to the late 1800s or so. So it's just being able to capture a little bit of history. Just a lot of fun. And the blue pieces, probably a lot of you might be wondering if they're rare or not. They're, somewhat rare, not too much, but they could be pretty rare. They're about like 1 in 200 or something like that. But I have quite a few blue pieces. I probably have a couple hundred. And as far as a sea glass collection in total, I probably have about 2,000 or so pieces. I just keep them in jars, and it looks nice. Just nice decorative things that are going on. But as far as from that, I lead kind of a boring life. I just like to sit and draw and just kind of do my own thing. I also play quite a bit of games. I've never kind of grown out of that habit of playing games, so I'll play a lot of computer games, things like that. Just things to kill time. Believe me, there's so many more things I could do to be productive, but it's just fun, you know. There's always those things you like to do. Alright, so that was the first question, so I spent quite a bit of time on that, so you could probably guess how long these questions are going to take. But some questions are going to take longer than others, depending upon how much story time I get into some of these. Alright, so Mr. Crasby asks, did you study in art school? For the majority of this question, I'll probably end up saying no. As far as the comments that I'll get in my videos, but I will explain that I have actually gone to college for art. But here's the thing. I went for like a semester and a half for art in college. I took 2D dimensional design, which I could not get into, life drawing, and something else. I think I took like a fundamentals of drawing as well. So I'm not even going to really talk about the 2D dimensional design. It wasn't my thing. But the gist of it was kind of seeing relationship between shapes and things like that, and kind of creating different things on your page. It didn't capture my interest. I understand the importance of it, but it just wasn't for me. Now, moving on to life drawing. That was the first time I've ever taken a life drawing class. So it was pretty funny. The first day, or maybe not the first day, but the first time a model came in. And I'll always remember the look on everyone's face when that model got nude, and everyone, their eyes just immediately attached themselves to the ceiling, and everyone was just kind of, had their arms to their side, just kind of looking around different directions, just like, what do we do? What do we do? It was just amazing. But I was along with them. I just didn't know what to do. It was just it's odd, But the more and more weeks went by in that class, the more you got used to it. And it was quite a bit of fun. I learned a lot in that class. A lot about figure drawing and poses. But I haven't done anything like that since, so I've kind of lost all the experience and things like that that I've learned in that class. But I'm sure I could pick it up again very easily. And 2D dimensional design, I took that during a summer semester, but I actually dropped out. And I'll explain that in a minute. But 2D dimension design was not 2D, drawing fundamentals. I'm sorry. So that was the summer course, and that one could have been such a great course, but it was so focused on drawing bottles and vases and things like that, which it's all about composition and things like that. Which again, I understand and why they're doing it and where they're coming from with that, but it just didn't capture my interest at all. But later I had to drop out. I dropped out quite a few of those summer courses because I developed like a form of lockjaw. It's gosh, I don't even know how to really call it. It's just TMJ is the abbreviation. It's like temporomandibular joint disorder or something like that. And I had to get a sort of like a retainer sort of thing after you get braces taken out. I had to get something like that just to sort of help my jaw in alignment. And still to this day, my jaw is slightly double jointed, which it's kind of annoying, but it's okay. I'm doing fine. So that's pretty much the extent of my education as like formal training for art. I did more recently take a month of courses at a private school. It's sort of like where you go in and pay for your class and take it and go home. It was for oil painting, and that was quite a bit of fun. I picked that up really easily and was able to do quite a bit with that. So that was quite a bit of fun. But I've been drawing long before any of that ever happened. So I guess I could, I can't really say that school hasn't taught me anything. It's definitely had an impact on what I do, but I've done so much more on my own that I pretty much consider myself self-taught. So that's however it's perceived, I guess. Alright, so some of these names are going to be pronounced a little off, but this one I think I can get. So, Soprano 1 Abel. I'm not sure if that's supposed to go a certain way or not, but anyway. Do you just do landscapes? I know, this is one of those things that I get asked quite a bit. It's like, can't you do anything else besides drawing a landscape? The answer is yes. I can draw other things, and I've shown that through some of my videos. But they're all still landscape related. So I've drawn birds, and I've drawn different things like flowers. I've even drawn a phoenix, which is getting pretty far away from my comfort zone a little bit, but it's still fun. Probably a lot of these questions are leaning towards whether or not if I draw portraits or not. So my interest in portraits has never really escalated at all. I used to draw some portraits. I mean, I've drawn maybe a total of 10 portraits over my lifetime. Maybe more, maybe less. I'm not totally sure. I'm just throwing that number out there. But here's my experience with them. I enjoyed it, but I always liked creative freedom within my work. And I know that you can express portraits in different ways, but I like how in landscapes, like I'm doing right here, I can edit, change, do whatever I want within this scene, and it'll still be a landscape. But with a person, if you don't like their nose and just leave it out, it's not really going to look like a person anymore. It's going to look more like an alien or Voldemort or something like that. So that's kind of what I'll end up saying if anyone asks if I draw portraits. But also my interest isn't really there to really sit down and study and learn it. Just really never been an interest of mine. So that's pretty much the bare bones reason why I don't really draw too many portraits. And that's why I stick to landscapes. It's just the creative freedom. And there's so many different varieties of them, and I can always explore new things and things like that. So it's just one of those things that I've always done. Alright, so next question. Soulbringer. Hey Tyler, do you usually paint from your mind, or do you paint from a reference in your videos? So, since I'm drawing this, I'll kind of talk about this one a little bit. This image here, I actually saw in a dream. It was about a week ago. I've edited and changed a few things, but for the most part, this is drawn out of my head. It's just something I remembered from a dream. I'm like, let me draw that before I forget it. So, but the simple question is, yes, I can draw a complete landscape from my head. Do I always? No, I don't always do that. Here's the problem I run into. I can draw a concept like this just fine, but when it comes to adding the polishing details, I run out of steam really quickly as to how to really go about doing it. So I can have this much here, but I won't really know how much further I can go than this, and that's where a reference photo really comes in handy. That way it kind of sets the playing field and tells me how to go about doing my things. But yes, I can draw quite a few things just right out of my head, and I enjoy it quite a bit. Alright, so Jason Lewis. Okay, how long did it take you to get to the point where you're comfortable with your own art and did not feel like I suck? Oh, there's still some drawings that I draw that still make me feel like I suck. You know, that's just the fact of the matter. Whenever someone asks me something like this, I keep thinking back to my first videos on this channel, How to Draw Mountain Landscapes, part 1 through 3. I look back at those and I cringe sometimes at how it just wasn't properly executed. My detail within that one wasn't that great, but I progressed over time, so I look back at it now and see how much I've improved. But to get back to more on track, I didn't really knew that I sucked, because back when I started making the videos, there weren't too many other people on YouTube that were making amazing content, or I just didn't know about it. So I wasn't really exposed to anyone that was significantly better than me, you know, besides from like Mark Crilley and people like that. But still, I never really saw the difference between what I could do and what they can do and how much more advanced they were. So I guess I was kind of self-centered, maybe had a slight ego, you know, that my work is amazing and everyone should see it. But that wasn't my mentality back then. That's just kind of like an example of maybe possibly how I thought. But then again, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of started out with drawing on YouTube just to see what would happen, and it was more fun than anything else. And I really just didn't know that my drawings weren't like that great. But on a few of my drawing videos, I've gotten hate comments before, and they'll tell me that these are not good at all. But you know, they'd be trolling me and things like that. But then I'd realize that they're kind of right. So it's just a matter of just keep practicing and things like that. I know it's all kind of cliche and things like that. You know, practice, practice, practice makes perfect and things like that. But that's the honest truth. So, I don't know. And that's a very good question, and it's kind of hard for me to engage and really answer it accurately. I've always kind of been. I never really showed my work before YouTube. I never really did. If I used to always doodle in class, and if someone came up to me and saw me doodling, and they'd be like, "Hey, that's really cool. You know, how long have you been doing that?" You know, just kind of strike off a conversation. But I would really never really like actively show off what I did. So it was just one of those things that I did, and never really realized that, you know, you could really get good at something like this. I don't know, but I never really had that moment that I felt like I sucked, because I haven't been exposed to a lot of people that were like a lot more advanced than I am. So I'm quite comfortable with where I am right now. There's still a lot more advancing that I'd like to do, but it's just kind of where I'm at right now. Alright, so alright, so here's a long one. Queen Marcia Trixie. I know this, she left a few comments. So this is the one I'm kind of liked a lot. So your favorite brands for every medium, including spray fixatives, also personal crazy. Oh yeah, segue into, yeah, also about the meaning of life, things like that. I'll get into that later. But getting into kind of like my favorite mediums and everything like that. So since started with spray fixative, I like the Winsor Newton or Grumbacher. I don't really have a favorite there. The workable or matte fixative, they're both fine. As far as pencils go, a lot of you know I like Faber-Castell. These are Rosetta clutch pencils, but they have Faber-Castell graphite in them. So that's how I like to go with that. Charcoal, I've used generals quite a bit, and I've always tend to like it. As far as erasers go, Factus works. Mars, the plastic erasers, they work really well. Alright, so getting into some of the more expensive mediums. For oil paint, I like Gamblin. For what little I did with watercolor, I have the Blick brand. For pastels, I use Derwent. For oil pastels, Sennelier. And there's so much more. For markers, I like the Copic markers. And for kneaded erasers, I'll usually use Prismacolor. There's a lot of stuff I use. And for any of you that are looking to get more in depth within that, I have a video on what I use to create realistic drawings or something like that. It's a video that's named kind of like that. And that's where I have a lot of what I use as far as pencil drawings go. So this is going to be a bit more of a technical question, and this is like the highest rated question I got. So Ziv asks, "Hey Tyler, I would like to know how to draw correct with color pencils / pastels, the correct use, holding, blending, and stuff, how to combine color pencils with oil pastels and chalk, etc." So that got 22 thumbs up, and that's a pretty loaded question. So how to draw correctly with pastels or color pencils? Well, I don't really use color pencils too much. I'm not really a huge fan of them. I've used them, but they leave too much texture. And believe me, I like texture, but they leave way too much for me, especially when I can't blend it out and smooth it. So I've tried Prismacolor. I have a set of Prismacolor color pencils. I have a 36 color set. I wanted to try them out. I got them off eBay for like $10. I don't know how I got that deal, but I did. So I've tried them quite a few times, and with me liking to do landscapes, I try to do like a sky with color pencils, and it leaves way too much texture for me. So just anything like that. I'm sure that if I really gave it a sure shot, I'd enjoy it, but I'm kind of picky when it comes to my drawing mediums. It has to blend, has to have texture, and it has to be erasable for me. Oil pastel is not really erasable, but you can still layer over it and kind of erase what you've done. So those are the kind of characteristics I look for in my drawing mediums. So pastel is a definite winner there. Pencil is the biggest winner. So I'll kind of steer this more towards pastels. Pastels, I mean, you can use them in different ways. There's pencil pastels and chalk pastels. I'll tend to use both within my work. And you can use the pastel pencils, rather, in the same fashion that you would use a regular pencil. That's at least the way I'll use it. But when you want to cover a large area with a certain color, I'll tend to buy cheap stick pastels. Just from any no-name brand, I'll get a 24 set. And I'll use those to cover large areas just so that I don't use up the pencil pastels, which I'll usually use Derwent for. And they can be somewhat expensive, but they're pretty good materials to use. So, layering between oil pastel and chalk, that's pretty complicated. Just thinking about it, I haven't done it, but just going over it in my mind, oil pastel is very oily and very waxy, and pastel is very chalky. You wouldn't really be able to layer chalk on top of oil. It wouldn't have the surface texture to grab that pastel off of. It might, but I don't think it really would. You would, however, be able to use pastel first and then use oil pastel over it. I've actually done that within one of my drawings. Didn't really come out very well, but you can do it. It's that mix of texture didn't really work for me. What you can mix, and what I have mixed, is you can use marker beneath oil pastel. I've done that before, and I've also used watercolor in the same thing, because what's nice is wherever you paint with oil pastel acts as a natural repellent for watercolor, so you can kind of create a nice wash for a sky. Even though you have all the trees and everything done with oil pastel, you can just kind of go over everything, and it won't really color the oil pastel or anything, because the wax acts as a natural repellent. So like that, it kind of works. But I'll probably try and make more videos in the future that combined a lot of different mediums together. It's just trying to find the right image to do it with, and executing it the right way. Alright, so bamboo putty. How do you keep yourself motivated to continue drawing? I'm pretty decent at it, but I find it boring and view it as work. I've been in the same boat. There's no sugarcoating it. Drawing can feel like work, but I'll start off with the first part. How do you keep yourself motivated to continue drawing? So I'll start off by saying that before I had a YouTube channel, my drawing as a hobby was very sporadic. I would do it for a month and then give it up for a year. Do it for a month and give it up for a year. And that's a little bit exaggerated, but that kind of sums up the gist of it. So I enjoyed it, but not enough to keep me doing it. After I created the YouTube channel, I created a reason to keep doing something that I enjoy to do. It also reminded me, because it's very easy to forget to do a drawing, especially if you're a full-time worker, gotta go to school, you know, daily life tasks, anything like that. You can forget that, oh yeah, I like to do drawing. You know, all those hobbies that you enjoy to do take a back seat, and you forget to do it, and before you know it, it's been a year, it's been 2 years, it's been 5 years since you've done it, which has happened to me. So giving yourself a reason to continue drawing is a very good way to keep yourself motivated. So I did that by making myself a YouTube channel, although I did not anticipate on the YouTube channel really doing anything. Like I said before, it was just mainly for fun, and over time I realized that people really enjoyed seeing my my work, so it gave me a very good reason to continue doing it, and I'm fairly glad that it did. So, but it still can feel like work. I tend to do a lot of my videos on the weekends now because of school, and by the time the weekend comes around, I haven't really thought of anything that I could really do for a drawing video, and it stresses me out thinking about what I could do that will attract the attention of you. So it's always a constant battle, I guess. It's an uphill battle, and that's why I tend to post quite a bit on my Facebook page asking what you would like to see, and I look for common interests within the comments and also a lot of common ground. So if there's a lot of interest in drawing trees and also a lot of interest in drawing water and mountains, I'll tend to combine all of them into one, just to kind of cover everything, and that way everyone is kind of getting what they're asking for. So I try my best to do a lot of that. But it can feel like work. Sometimes it can, and the reason why it does is because I kind of put deadlines on myself, and I'll say I want a video to be done and recorded by Saturday and have it edited by Saturday night. That way I can have it rendering overnight. And then when I don't do it, I feel very disappointed in myself, which happens every now and then. And then, you know, as the more and more I do that, it kind of feels more and more like work. But I try not to make it feel like work, because when I actually sit down and start drawing, it becomes fun again. So like I'm enjoying right now just sitting here talking and just working on this sketch. I'm thoroughly enjoying it right now. So it's just starting something that's the hardest for me. Once I have something started and going, once I have the general composition and sketch, I'm good to go. I'll draw for hours. So, and it's just keeping that reason to keep going. Once you find your purpose for drawing, it kind of everything falls into place, and you kind of keep going. Alright, so Crutzen 111. Oh, the same question again. How do you stay motivated to keep drawing? So it's the same question again. Alright, so Ethan Blackburn, what got you into drawing and what kept you going? So it's very similar again, but what got me into it? Well, I had a lot of influences, and one of which is my grandmother, who, shame on me for not knowing the exact age, but I believe she's 91 now. And she, although I don't think she's done too much recently, but she still actively does a lot of her artwork. She was an oil painter back when she was young, and she does a lot of pastel work now. And that was always a constant motivation for me. And it was actually me and my brother that got her back into drawing, because she hasn't done it in a very long time. When she had her kids, she kind of put that on a back burner. You know, like I said before, things kind of take a back seat. So she put her family first, and that kind of took a back seat. And just out of the blue, my brother asked her to draw some koi fish, because my brother is really into koi, and we have a koi pond in our backyard, and asked her to draw some koi, and I also liked the idea, and I wanted her to draw me some as well. So she broke out some of those old supplies and actually attempted to do it, and she pulled it off quite well. And ever since then, she's been back into it. At least that's what I think got her back into it. I could be slightly off, but either way, she got back into it after a very long time, and it really inspired me to see if I was any good at it. And also, my cousins really inspired me as well, seeing their work. But I basically had a lot of inspiration. My mom does a lot of painting as well. I'm sure she did. She does on and off whenever she gets time. That inspires me a lot. And just seeing them create something, it just really gets me excited as far as what I can actually do. And then, of course, showing them what I've done and getting their support. It's always good. So, I mean, that's really what got me into it. And, you know, of course, it was on and off process. It took me quite a bit of time to really get myself full steam ahead into what I'm at now. But that's kind of what got me really into it. So, and that kind of leads me into this question by the Psychic Owl. And what age did you discover your passion for art? That's the end of page 1. All right. So, I've always kind of been into it, especially as a kid. I would draw for the homework assignments and things like that. I enjoy it, but I didn't really get like into it until I was like in middle school, probably. That's when I realized that I still retained some of that art, from when I was really, really young. And that's when I really started to push my abilities and see where I can go with it. And I did a lot of abstract type work. If you go on my channel and type in or search through my videos, there'll be one drawing curved and straight line drawing practice or something like that. That's a lot of what I used to do. It was just basic composition and form, different lines and what I can do with lines to make patterns and different designs, things like that. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing that. And that took me quite a bit of time to really get into and start doing. And like to start doing well, because there's a lot of straight lines, curved lines, and I had to really work on getting my line fluid and to really like flow into my work. So that took me quite a bit of time to really get into and understand. And then from there, I kind of transitioned into manga. And I know a lot of you probably are wondering if I ever did manga or not. And the answer is yes, I did draw manga quite a bit. A lot of my friends got me into it because they were more into it than I ever was, and I would kind of just follow their interests, and I got myself into it. I really got myself into Full Metal Alchemist. I really enjoyed that one, and Inuyasha as well. And somewhere around, I have some drawings of them. I have no idea where I put them. They're probably in like a portfolio somewhere in a closet. But that's kind of how I progressed. And I did some portraits as well. They weren't all that great. But I tried. I just enjoyed drawing, so that's kind of where, I kind of got into everything. Alright, so the Comedy Films asks, how long were you drawing and were you born good? So there's that question and quite a bit as well. Dynamite also asked, when did you start drawing? And okay, C123 asked, do you have any pictures or drawings as you were a child? And Grovind, sorry, I can't read some of these names. When did you start drawing? What type of landscapes did you do? Mountains, ocean, forest, lakes, etc. Also, can we see some of your early art? So a lot of questions asking about where I started and if I have some of my early artwork. So, like I said, I started around middle school and things like that, and you kind of heard where I started out. And I always had an interest for landscape work, and I was really obsessed with drawing Hawaiian scenes with the palm trees and the sunsets, things like that. I used to draw that a lot. Unfortunately, I don't know where any of them went. They're probably well gone. That was back when I never really considered my art like amazing or something. I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't really remember my exact mindset back then. But I mostly did a lot of Hawaiian scenes. And then through college, I was really into mountain scenes. I'm still into mountain scenes. I really enjoy doing them. But let me get into all these questions asking if I have any childhood art. And I know a lot of you are getting at is if I was good is when I was young. So I have managed to find some of my old stuff, and you guys have to promise not to laugh at me. I was surprised to find this. I found them up in the attic of all places. So I was looking around and I wanted to see if I still had some of this stuff, and I did. So I was happy. Alright, so here we go. This, I was probably in elementary school when I did this. This was, they had something called Bookworm, and that's what this guy is. And I remember drawing this from reference, and then everything else just kind of evolved around it. I don't know how I even remember doing this, but I do. I have a butterfly here, another one up here. I have a spider up here. I used to like drawing spiders a lot. So I have a spider up there, and then what you can make of a tree is right there. This is supposed to be a lake, and I have the sky and the big sun over there. So I have some plants over here. You know, you can kind of get the gist of everything that's going on. So this is the prime like example that I did not grow up as good as I am now, I guess, or more as experienced. That's a better word to say it. So I wasn't experienced back then. This was the height of my drawing abilities back in like elementary school. So that's just one of them. And for a class project, I have the Undersea Alphabet Book, illustrated by Tyler Lucas, which is me. So here's some awesome under the sea fishes, and in here you can see I have awesome drawing abilities. A is for the alphabet book, really original, huh? But in here I had some idea of form and shape and shading, I guess you could say. But this, you can see I have terrible handwriting. Eel is for, or E is for eels, things like that. Here's my favorite one. I remember doing this one vividly. The goosefish. That one was fun. I enjoyed doing that one. It looks pretty cool too. Very vicious. Look, it's a crab or something. I was looking through this the other day with my mom, and we were just laughing. So, this looks like a dolphin, but I don't think it is. Haddock. I don't know what that is. I is for ink. Ink is not a name of a fish. That's funny. Well, you got some jellyfish. Jellyfish. Killer whales. Minnows. A little blue one there. Here's a blue lobster. This is a puffer fish. Just chilling. And I have an octopus that I drew there. That's something. Quad hogs? I don't know, I can't read my handwriting. Periwinkles. Little snails, I think. Red fish something. Scallops. Oh, this one's cool. The tuna. He needs some sunglasses with that smile. There's a nice looking fish there. That's a viperfish. Yeah, that's something that lives in very deep water. And wolffish. I never knew something like that existed. Here's a flounder and something. I don't even know how to pronounce that. I'm not even gonna try. And Z is for zebrafish. Go figure. But yeah, and here's the back of it. But that's kind of getting back into my roots of drawing. This is some of the only evidence I was able to come up with, a proof that I'm still only human. I wasn't always as experienced in drawing. It took me a long time to go from this to this. So it takes a lot of practice. It's been quite a few years. Alright, and the bulk of those questions were all about the same thing, which I pretty much covered. And so the last 3 questions all have to do with what is the meaning of life. I laughed quite a bit when I read that. And it reminded me so much of watching the movie A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and how that large supercomputer came up with the answer of 42. So I was thinking maybe I could just be like, the answer to everything is 42, and just leave you all with that, but you know, I couldn't do that. So, I mean, the meaning of life, I mean, it's different for everyone that, it's perceived differently everywhere. So, I mean, for me, the meaning of life is just living each day, doing what you enjoy, just absolutely, just, trying to live your absolute dream, having those goals, and just try not to let things get you down and stop you from achieving anything and everything that you want in your life. So, I mean, for me, I mean, money isn't a huge factor. It's, of course, a nice thing to have, but it's just not like my top priority. I'd rather enjoy my life as a poor person than have all the money in the world and be miserable. That's sort of the philosophy that I've always lived by. So, of course, money is always a big help, but I'd much rather enjoy the moments I have with every one of you on YouTube, with my friends, and just going to bed at night, just feeling satisfied with what got done during the day, and just knowing that I had fun, So that's pretty much where I'm at with it. So just enjoy it, everyone can make their own path and do whatever they please, but I think as long as you're happy, that's pretty much all that matters. So, of course, good health as well. It's always a good thing, right? But, alright, so we're at 40 minutes. That's actually much faster than I thought I'd get this done. But, so I think I'm probably going to do some more Q&As. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing story time with everyone. This was really good. And I got quite a bit, some done on my drawing here. This is just a sketch to them. Just kind of working on that sort of deal. But I had quite a bit of fun with this, so leave some comments, some feedback if you had anything to say about some of the stories I had. If you had some good laughs, I'd definitely like to hear about it. A definite thumbs up is definitely good for trying something new. And I want to especially thank everyone that submitted questions. For those of you that I didn't answer, when I do another Q&A, feel free to submit those questions again. I'm trying to keep the questions bunched together in different themes so that I can kind of keep things on topic and very fluid throughout the whole video. So that's what I try to aim to do. But a lot of the questions this time basically about how you started out and just how you establish yourself now and the meaning of life, of course. So lots of fun times. So I want to thank you all very much for watching, and this is quite a bit of fun. So I'll see you all later, everyone. Take care.